Should buy this.
Okay, I think
It's
I have
good.
this. I own this.
It's good.
Yeah,
Should buy it.
I definitely own this.
Should buy a second one as a backup.
Another one in case
in case that one
in case
spills.
this one spills. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm.
I'm creating demand.
You're creating demand.
Yeah, for Deep Shades by AK. Yeah.
Yeah, just by putting in my
Brought
hand.
to you by AK. That's right.
Yeah.
It's a very effective tool.
It can be. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just push shoving a product in someone's hand.
We're here
Can't
to
hurt.
answer the very fascinating question of that you've all wondered, it's burning in your soul,
Right.
whether the local store, your local store, is actually creating demand for products, or are they simply just responding to demands based on like some sort of marketing from other companies or consumer demands? So what do you think about when you hear that topic? What comes to mind?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on the store. I don't know if every store. I think LGS has obviously come in lots of flavors, depending on who's owning it, who's running it, how much they're into it. I would not be surprised if a very large percentage is like stores just like, they've got the anchor products like the Magics and the Pokemons and maybe the Warhammers or something, and or board games, they're just putting every new release on the shelf, and they pick some ranges and that's it, and they're kind of just on to the next one. I'm curious how many. It would be very hard. You'd have to get some kind of really massive survey with truthful answers to figure out who's like purposely bringing in products and then generating like to create a new or to try and capture a new group of customers or create a new group of customers. I think that takes risk.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think one of the things is like we can probably both agree is that the first step to creating any demand is having the product available. So like how much agency the store has in this process, I suppose, is worth talking about. So like a store that simply puts, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40,000 and D&D on their shelf.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say they're creating demand for those things because what they're responding to is a massive demand for those things.
Yeah, the organic demand is so high that you don't have to really do anything. But although I would argue miniatures and Warhammer in general require a bit more. We've said this many times. Is as good as Warhammer is doing, it's still tough to just put it on the wall and walk away and be like, just dust your hands and wait for the money to roll in.
That's right.
It does require a bit more going on. There's a bit of both. I think it would be harsh to say that the store's just trying to I think probably 80% or 70 or 80% of the store's revenue is coming from these like just anchors that just do it. Yeah. And then after that, you have 20% to play with, which is like where you can create a little niche, And we get this with the comments a lot with the people. There's always someone that says, Star Wars Legion's killing it in where I am, or Old World's killing it where I am, or we've got 100 Blood Bowl players. And I'm like, yeah, those are all examples of hobby champions or store owners that are like, I love this thing, or I want this to be big here. Or sometimes you kind of fall into it. Sometimes you get like some local people group that are like, hey, can we play this game at your store? And you've kind of work out a deal or figure something out where they're like, you host them and you make a buck on them a little here and there, and and you create this thing. There are some products like we don't even carry yet that we could if I decided to bring in Conquest, Last Argument of Kings, then that would be there was incentive for me to like tell all my customers, get them involved, try and sell some starter boxes and create a new little community.
That'd be very much a situation where like you're responsible for creating demand.
I'm creating the demand there. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Just again, no, it's not no knock against these companies. They know what they got into by trying to insert their product into a market. Yep. And yeah, they're banking on people taking chances and bringing their product in, and then helping those people grow.
Of course, yeah. That means like Warhammer used to be that way too, right?
Sure.
Like we both were baptized in fire in the mall retail store.
Yeah.
Where you had to create all the demand, every ounce of it.
Yeah, literally 9 out of 10 people that came in through the door where like I have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
Like not even a smidge of clue what the heck they're looking at, and you have to be like, yeah, these are toys you paint and then play games, and they're like, huh, and then you do like demos and get them to paint shove a figure in their hand in a paintbrush and be like, yeah, here, here's some red paint, put it, and then see what happens, right? So we were used to it was just a step below cold calling because the person literally did walk into your store. So, but after that it was, and then guiding through and all that. So yeah, the training was it wasn't for everyone, that's for sure. But anyway, the Warhammer was that not that long ago, to be honest. 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's great. Like I feel like a really simple way to answer this question is I feel like the demand has slid a lot. So I think hobby shops, there were far fewer of them, first of all.
Before?
Far fewer of them, like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Way less. And those stores would have probably told you that they were creating most of the demand. They were, there wasn't this huge like internet presence. There wasn't this huge influencer culture. There wasn't the marketing machine that these companies have developed. It was a lot of like either people walking into the store and discovering it for the first time, or word of mouth, telling a friend. Yeah. Just like the old school ways of sort of building up people, and that all came from those stores. They were driving a lot of that themselves, that's a lot of work. That's tough. Yeah. I feel like that is now primarily just a thing for the small guys now, like the small companies now. They still have to act that way because they don't have the same shelf space. They don't have the same marketing engine money. Even though, like, even companies like Steamforged Games do a pretty decent job of marketing their products, they understand the value of that online. But like, they don't have the same amount of influencers touching their stuff online, where it's getting the exposure constantly. They very much have to have the old school way still kind of to develop them, which is ironic because they don't have like a Games Workshop to do it. They're relying on this like almost like magical situation where like a retailer takes a chance on their product and then also is willing to put in time and effort into developing it into their business model and getting customers engaged with it. So that's a pretty big ask in today's market to ask stores, which is why like we talked about this in other videos. Increasingly, you don't see small games on the shop shelves as much, because there is, quite frankly, effort involved. And it can
even be a Games Workshop product. Like I said, we have a wall of specialist games, and other than Horus Heresy,
you could even argue that one takes some effort to push.
No, it's true. Because we we've built up a community of people that are into it. The rest isn't, unless we do. I'm only selling Legion Imperialis kits if I'm building and painting Imperialis and talking about it.
Correct.
That's like no one's coming in and buying armies of that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so you definitely it's a bit of both for sure. You have to create the demand for that thing if you really want it to work. It's just simply chucking it on the shelf is just. Stuff's it's really tough. The like slow organic growth thing of a. There's some games too that we've tried and we didn't like. We had Song of Ice and Fire for a bit and it didn't really go that far. Like there's a little while where it was selling well because the show was still going and some people got into it and then we moved off it because sales dropped to zero here, and then other stores have picked it up and they're having success because they put in maybe more effort or different effort in, or they're running more events for it,
or they have that like this is the other secret weapon is like you have like a couple of hobby champions that play it in your shop, and that's enough to kind of keep the little ember going, right?
Like it comes back. I always tell people this all the time, like, because it's a favorite customer of Chris and I's. This is another archetype. It's someone who like rolls in, who's like you either first time or they just maybe pop in a couple times a year max, like 'cause they don't live in the city or they just participate in a game or something that isn't a serious thing here or whatever, and they'll be like, does anyone do this, or how's this? Like, can we get I want to get this game going or something? And you're like, I'm like, you like this? You're into this? And I'm like, yeah, you got to like show up and try and make it happen. Like, it's not gonna. It's like they're just like waiting.
They're waiting
for someone or something else to like generate this thing for them that they're into. Yeah. It's usually some game that is like a little even more niche that they're really into. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head, but it's hard right now. My brain's too slow. But yeah, you're just kind of like, okay, yeah. If you want to like, it's like a favorable example would be like, not that it needed that much help, but like the few guys that play BattleTech here, like there's just literally like 3 or 4 people who like playing together, and they're like, we'll do every Friday, or like not every Friday, like a couple Fridays a month, and we'll like advertise it on your Discord. And I was like, sure. And then
that's great.
And now and I would say the group now is like maybe more like 8 or something, or 7. Like, it's like they don't always all show up, but it's like it's grown. And then and they wanted to do that. Like they
took ownership to some degree of it, right?
Yeah. And I know some viewers are like, oh, you're the hobby store owner, you should be. I'm like, well, I can tell you for sure that it's resources. Maybe I don't have. There's other things that have to go into running the store, but it's not always the same. It's like it's way more powerful when you have people that are like naturally so into that thing, because they will spend the time to look up metas and cool events or follow the news. Like, there's just so many. They're
doing it because they want to.
They want to, yeah.
And they take more. There's more investment in it because when they see a potential new person joining their community, that there's a lot of value for them for that, right? So they're going to take the time to actually
Like, I mean, there's also like just so many thousands of products released a year. Like, it's basically impossible for Chris and I to be like so into all of them.
It would be a full-time job alone to run demos and run game nights
for everything that's
current, right?
Yeah,
we'd have to hire a full-time person to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, the economics of that are not good for a small hobby shop.
No, and you could put all this energy, especially so if we add extra staff just so I can dive deep into what's going on in Song of Ice and Fire or something, and then try and get that going. And then what if I don't recoup the business because maybe there's just not enough people who care in the area or something. There's like limits to certain.
Well, let's just put a number on it, right? Like in real simple terms, if you're hiring a person for one shift,
right,
to cover to do your Song of Ice and Fire night,
yeah,
okay, so you can run it,
yeah,
a paid staff member, you got to sell at least a few kits that night. Just to break even.
Yeah.
Just to break even.
Every time.
Yes. Yeah.
So. Yeah. And then what if like the local area like maybe has 20, 30 players total for like a whole like whatever within a 20-minute drive.
Let me tell you, that is now a recipe for that game to get dropped very fast, because now you've tied economic necessity to it.
Yeah.
Versus if you have some store champions that are playing it anyways and are able to be welcoming.
Yeah.
And will run stuff. Now any kits you sell is actually just a profit for you.
Yep.
You're more likely to keep the game. Like it's a
little more. This is some nitty gritty hobby store things that like people. I think it's easy for fans of games because they're going to take it negative and be like, "Oh, you're poo-pooing my thing," or "You're not giving it enough to," whether it's something to do with if you're whatever big old world fan or any game, any smaller game or whatever, you're trying to be. Like, well, you get this a lot. Well, if you just put more work into it or something, and you're like, yeah, maybe, but like also.
To be honest, you and this isn't to be condescending or anything. The fact that shop owner even took the chance on that game to put it on their shelf,
sure,
and they already paid for it. They put their money on the line.
Yeah.
You want the game to succeed, you got to put a little bit of effort in.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, right?
Yeah.
Or why?
That's how it works.
Or why are you there asking for a community there, right? Like, if you're just consuming that product and playing at home, why do you care if the game's played at the hobby store?
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. So obviously, the fact that you're asking that store owner why this thing isn't happening, you care about the community there. Mm-hmm. So you have to involve yourself. You have to be a little involved. Ask the store owner what you can do to help. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. Often we'll get people come in and they're just, again, maybe they're not regulars here, and they're like, oh, what's going on or whatever, and I'm like, they want to know that there's all these events and things. so that they can be so pick and choosy. And,
That's right.
And about
That's right.
so they could basically say, oh, there's a thing on Thursdays that I probably won't go to, but I like to know that it's there.
It's like a warm fuzzy blanket.
So I always go to them. I'm like, well, we do post everything in these spots, but ideally you have to come and like hang out and meet the people.
There's a meet in the middle
Yeah.
thing that I think
Like-
that we're expecting from people is like
Yeah.
you have to put a little bit of effort in,
Yes.
right? And I think that's fair. A lot of people don't want to put any effort in, which is understandable. I'm sure that will work out fine for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like
If you just want to know, there's a gaming a regular gaming night every Thursday night for the game that you might, so that you can show up once a year to it.
yeah.
That's a lot of people are like that, have those vibes where it's
Yeah.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, I collect this game. I just kind of like to know that I could show up one day on a
Yeah.
Thursday. And you're like, that's not really the kind of
And I always try-
people we're looking for.
I tell them too, and I'm like,
join the community, right?
you like, I know that's like somewhat the way things are. I'm like, it's like not most places that run any classes. If no one shows up, they cancel the classes, like, or they have you pay in advance or something. Like that's why I tell them like, get in the Discord, ask who wants to play, or like hang out to the store and meet the other guy, and then arrange game. Like you will. I know it's tough. You got to put yourself out there a little bit, and there's like stores invariably do generate little cliques and groups, but you'd be surprised how it can be. Like we've had some, we have lots of people that come through here that like all different levels. Like some people are very outgoing and manage that very easily, and some people are like quieter and they need Chris and I's help to kind of like introduce them a little bit. But like even the most awkward, quietest person I've even here can get games and get in and meet other like-minded people and enjoy the hobby. Like it is, yeah. You have to kind of integrate yourself into the community a little bit if you want that experience. But that kind of went off topic a little bit.
Yeah, I think in a nice organic way.
Yeah.
It was good. It got a bit ranty there.
A little ranty, yeah.
That's
sure,
okay.
Sure.
That's why people watch this. I think.
Right.
I'd like to think. At least,
Yeah. So that's sort of related. Yeah. If you want your stupid game to do well, then you gotta like help out, I guess. That's like
Yeah, I think like there's a cold honest truth to that. Like everybody has their own pet games or whatever. Even shop owners. Like back to your point, like about creating demand. Like usually shop owners usually the reason they're into running a shop in the first place is they do have things they like, and they will disproportionately kind of favor those things. You can usually tell by what's on their shelf wall, what they talk about naturally with the customers that they chit chat with. So the stores are always going to slant a certain way, no matter what. And then you're looking essentially for other people to fill in the blanks or other spaces that you have to kind of like account for that bias if you're kind of doing your job at least. But that's where customers come in. Like, if like Jay said, if you really want a game to succeed, which is like going back to demand, it's like the hobby store has to create demand for these like smaller fighting for their life products that are just trying to stay on the shelf wall. That's got to be on the community a little bit, right? The cold hard truth is the vast majority of hobby shops out there are not making $1 million, and they can't afford to have paid people run these smaller game events. So that's where the community has to step up if you want it to succeed.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
We solved it.
Solved it again.
Solved.
Solving these things every week.
It's just hard. It's so hard doing that, but we have to do it. So we've been tasked with this.
Please send us more comments. And
oh yeah, you don't have to ask.
We need
for
more
that.
video. We need more video ideas, please. Fire them in.
This whole video is brought to you by someone asking a good question.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah. So,
ask better questions.
We'll hope you all enjoyed watching that video and found the topic interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. I think it's kind of a cool topic. It's one that I know that people have a lot of opinions about, which is always makes for a good topic.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you really liked it, you can check us out on Patreon, where we are planning to do some actual exclusive content starting in April, when we're getting a little bit more help in the shop. And you'll see the channel grow a bit more, hopefully, very soon. Thanks to you, wonderful people. So until next time, take care.
Thanks. Bye.